Folks, we're so excited to be joined by Biaggio Ali Walsh. He fights this weekend or on February 24th at the PFL versus Bellator Champs mixed martial arts event. It's awesome. It is Bellator versus PFL. It is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Biaggio, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Biagio, so you're going to Saudi Arabia? Have you gone before?
I've never been there before. I'm super excited to go there. I heard that the lamb's super good, so I'm excited to eat that once I make weight.
There you go. I was wondering, have you spoken to anybody who's gone before and kind of give you advice? Because I feel like it's starting to become like how Las Vegas is the fight capital of the world. Like it's starting to become like a little rival right there now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was talking to Eric Nixick about it. He went out there when Francis fought Tyson Fury. He was giving me some advice. I think the next couple of days I'm going to stay up a little bit just so I can get used to the time difference. I know it's like 11 hours ahead over there. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. And some of my teammates told me, give me some advice on the food out there and stuff and how I can make weight in that way. So, yeah, my mom's been to not Riyadh yet, but she's been to Jeddah a couple times and she loves it. She loves the people out there and they treat her great. So, yeah, I'm super excited for this.
When do you head out?
We leave Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I mean, you want to get acclimated and everything to the time.
Of course.
But, just what Emmanuel Palacio, what have you kind of seen? That's who you're going to be facing on the 24th. Just what have you noticed from him? And he's 19 years old, so he's a young cab. But just what have you seen from him?
Yeah, I know he's a kickboxer. He's a little bit shorter than I am as well, and I know he had one pro MMA fight. I'm not sure if he has any amateur MMA. I don't know if he's had any amateur MMA fights though. He might have had like a kickboxing record and then went straight into pro MMA. So yeah, that's all I really know about him. Yeah, he's young. He's never fought on this kind of stage before, so I'm excited to see his reaction. I always love seeing, people's reactions once they get in there and they're locked in the cage. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Is it tough to face the unknown kind of I mean, you don't know what to expect. There's not really film. Just how do you get your mindset ready for something like that?
Yeah, man. I always try to pick my teammates' brains, especially the guys that have been in the sport for such a long time. And yeah, even my last fight, I didn't have any film on him. So the unknown, a fight alone is unknown. You never know what can happen in a fight. So you could watch all the film in the world, but in the fight, anything can happen. So I think that knowing that kind of helps me out a little bit. I think trusting in God, I have a strong faith, especially in my religion. So I trust that I go in there and I do my best and God does the rest. So if it's written for me to win, I'll win regardless of how I win. If it's written that I lose, then I lose. And, God's planning is way better than my planning. So whatever the outcome is, I accept because that's what was written.
Biagio, just to get some kind of details, what's your record now in MMA and what weight class are you fighting in?
Yeah, so I have an amateur record of 6-1. I fight at lightweight, which is 155. My first fight was actually at 170, which is kind of insane to look back at. Like, I only cut like 5 pounds for that fight, and my opponent probably cut 25 pounds. So, yeah, after that, I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna try 55, and then I've been fighting at 55 cents, and I love it. So, I look at staying at lightweight for a while now.
Yeah, I'm glad you found your weight class and you're doing well. And I see you rocking the Extreme Couture shirt there.
Yes,
That's
sir.
one of the most decorated MMA gyms in the world. So just having this experience here at Biagio, and by the way, I used to work in Las Vegas, a few years ago, and I remember your name from you playing at Bishop Gorman. So, this path that you're on from football to MMA and then at Extreme Couture, how's that going for you? Like, how's this transition? Like you mentioned, you have a path for your path for yourself, but this journey that you're on right now, how's that been?
It's been great. It's crazy how life works. I never would have thought I would ever fight. It's weird. Like, there's certain things I think in my life, in my childhood, that kind of hint to the fact that I might fight later on in my life. Like people challenging me to box just because they find out I'm related to Muhammad Ali when I'm a kid. When I started watching MMA like freshman year of high school, I used to have like post-fight interviews in the shower just for fun, because like, watching Conor McGregor and him do his thing at featherweight, like it was super inspirational. I didn't want to fight at the time, but I would be in the shower doing post-fight interviews, and now I'm actually fighting. So, yeah, the transition's great. I kind of got the short end of the straw when I went to college to play football, and I never really got an opportunity to play. I always wondered why, and everything happens for a reason, and I think the reason I didn't play was just to save me for this next chapter of my life, which is fighting.
Biagio, you mentioned, I mean, it must be tough. I mean, Michael Jordan's kids, Tom Brady, like to be that legacy, that next generation. Everybody looks at you and they say, "Well, look at what your grandfather, your father did. Where are you at with all that?" But just can you talk about how tough it was growing up and having to go with all that?
Can you guys hear that?
A little bit. No, you're good.
I'm sorry.
You're good. No, you're good. You're good. There's a lot of energy over there.
I'm in an interview. Sorry.
No, you're good.
My brothers are just crazy.
That was mine.
But
I had to kick them out.
Back to like Brady's kids and Jordan's kids and even LeBron's kids, they also have a target on their back as well, and that's just because of who they're related to. They never chose to be LeBron James or Michael Jordan's son. I never chose to be Muhammad Ali's grandson. So this is just something that we were kind of born in. We were born with pressure, and it's athletes like that I want to try to help inspire as well. Just take that pressure and create a diamond with that pressure. So, yeah.
I was going to ask you. Sorry, Biagio. Was that your brother back there? Is it Nico?
Yeah, it is. Yo, T-Wayne, I'm in an interview right now.
Do you guys ever spar together?
No.
No, just different sports. You can't do it.
I do MMA.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What's it like for you guys to kind of be doing? I mean, you're doing the MMA, he's doing boxing. Just has that kind of brought you guys closer together, especially with you guys being in different sports?
Absolutely. It's really clutch living, with my brother who also fights as well. He has to go through the training. He has to go through the weight cuts. We kind of help each other with that, especially when I was first starting out. I was throwing a bunch of questions at him on how I could make weight and certain stuff I could do and fight stuff. So, yeah, it's super clutch to have a brother that's also on the same path.
Biagio, what's your? Oh my bad. No, what's your end goal with MMA and everything? Like, what some people say, I want to be the best. Some people say I want to win all the belts. Just what's your vision? What do you want to do with this?
The reason I fight is so that I could help people that might have gone through my situation or worse. In my situation, I was playing a sport. I never really got the opportunity. It wasn't working out for whatever reason, and I didn't know what to do with my life. A lot of athletes go through that where they're playing a sport for a long time, and it's kind of like a what now? What do I do now? For me, I'm always preach martial arts because it just flipped my world upside down, and it could you too. You never know, but just people like people who don't feel like they have direction. I want to help people like that. Never in my career, I know it's only my first pro fight, but never in my career will you hear me say that I'm fighting for money or for a belt. I'm fighting so that someday I could become someone like my coach and his coach, just a mentor to help athletes, fighters, and just people in general who are looking for direction. So, that's what I'm looking for at the end of this. Win, lose, or draw doesn't matter. I look to go in there and just be exciting for the fans. The other day I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to give myself 25 pro fights, see how I go, like see where it goes. By that time, I'm hoping that I can be a mentor to people, and then I make enough money to be able to help a lot of people, maybe start my own charity. Yeah. Maybe I go 20-5, 17-8, doesn't matter. I'm going to give myself 25 fights and just see where I go with that. I want to be able to sit back and think to myself, okay, wow, like I actually did it. I actually did something I never thought that I'd be doing. And yeah.
That's good to hear, because a lot of fighters feel like they're always going to fight forever, and you have a good plan and you want to have options. So that's a good mindset to have, Biagio. But just to make sure I got it right, so it's gonna be your pro debut as an MMA fighter.
Yes.
Okay. And in the amateur ranks when you were fighting, was there something that kind of you've had like a learning lesson or a story you could share that like hey, this is harder than I thought, or hey, you know what, actually I did okay here, or anything you could, kind of share with us?
Yeah, I mean, in the gym, I remember when I first started training, getting kicked in the head for the first time. I was like, oh wow, this is different. So, um, yeah, and I face adversity every single day when I'm training. I train with some of the best guys, so I'm constantly going through adversity because there's going to be adversity in a fight too. You got to be prepared for that. And yeah, it's just it's more of just improving, and just trying to get better as a person first and then as a fighter. So that, yeah, I think moments like that, just in everyday training, is when I'm like, okay, like I got to just keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing.
I'm assuming a kick to the head is much different than taking a tackle by 3 or 4 people in a football game.
It's a lot different. You feel it more.
Biagio, what you talked about how, I mean, when you left football and everything, what helped you turn the corner and kind of realize what you wanted to do? Was it like one thing, or did you try a lot of different things and then you say, you know what, this is what I want to do, or kind of what helped with that?
Yeah, after football, I kind of went down this like dark kind of stage. I was depressed. Living in Las Vegas, it's super easy to get access to going out and drinking and trying different drugs and stuff like that. And I'm guilty. These are the type of things that I was doing and what I think I was doing is I was numbing the anger that I had because football didn't work out. And yeah, I was working at Adidas. I was looking to get my real estate license online. I was just trying to figure it out. I was interning as an assistant strength and conditioning coach. And, some of the athletes that I was training were some of the fighters at Extreme Couture. And I remember just being 22 and looking at them. I'm like, dude, what am I like coaching you for? Like, I miss being an athlete. I miss having a goal. I miss having uh, something to look forward to. So then that was kind of when I said, I'm gonna just take MMA serious. I'm gonna just see how far I go in this sport. I don't care how far it is. I just want to be able to sit back and say, oh, okay, I did it. I actually set my mind to something.
Biagio, I was checking out your Instagram and I saw that cool picture of you with your grandfather, Muhammad Ali. I'm guessing you don't remember much about when you were young and hanging out with him.
Oh, I remember everything
Oh,
vividly.
really?
I mean,
Okay.
obviously, when I was like maybe 4, probably not. But yeah, I remember everything vividly up until when he passed away when I was going into senior year of high school. But yeah, we have so many memories. We'd go to the house every Thanksgiving. When I got a little bit older, he moved to Phoenix, and that's very close to Vegas. So it was super clutch that he lived so close, and we were able to visit him so often. But my mom made sure that me and my brother both were super close with him. My dad's parents had passed away before I was even born, so I never had a chance to meet my grandparents on my dad's side. So the only grandparent I really had was like my grandfather, and that was the only grandfather I had. So yeah, we were super close. Tons of memories. There's been times where I've gone out and like we'd go to a restaurant and everybody in the restaurant would recognize who walked in and they'd stand up and start clapping. Stuff like that I would see firsthand as a kid. And as a kid, you can't really grasp the impact that he really made, but you see it and you're like, oh wow, my Poppy, because I called him Poppy. Poppy must be pretty special.
When you
You were
found
watching.
out,
Go ahead.
oh my bad. No, I was just gonna say, when you found out not just what he did in the ring, but what he did outside for the black community and for a lot of for everybody, just what did that mean to you when you found out who Poppy was, not just as an athlete, but as a person?
It meant a lot. Again, when I was in 3rd grade, I did a biography project on him in my class, and nobody knew who I was related to. It was one of those projects where you kind of do a project on a famous person and the impact they made on the world. So I chose my grandfather, and looking like an Italian kid, nobody could guess that I was Muhammad Ali's grandson. So I did a project on him, and I learned a lot. I asked my mom a lot of questions. But again, when you're so young, you can't really grasp just how big of an impact that really is. So it was around the time I got a little bit older and older that I started to really see the impact he made. Um, After he had passed, they did a procession before his funeral, and you know, it was in Louisville, and the whole city was outside and chanting Ali and Ali, and that spoke a lot to me as well. Like, just to see the amount of love and respect that people had for him, and not in just Louisville. I mean, the whole world had respect for him, but just to see it in his hometown was very eye opening. And yeah, I would say it was like around high school when I started to really realize just the impact that he's made.
Biagio, last one for me, and the world's gonna get to see how you fight on February 24th in Saudi Arabia. But how would you describe your fighting style currently?
I think currently I'm a brawler. I like to be in your face, and I like to freaking slug these fists. So, that's one thing I do want to improve too. You could brawl for so long, but then when you start getting to the higher level, you got to be a lot smarter as well. So, yeah, I'd say my style right now is a brawler who can wrestle. People don't think I can wrestle or grapple, but I can wrestle and grapple. I do it every day. I do it probably more than I do striking. But yeah, I would say right now I'm trying to be a smarter brawler.
Biagio, I got a two-parter. One, do you remember? I mean, obviously you're gonna remember, but Sunday, November 13th, 2022. Just, I think it was 2022 when you got when. Yeah, yeah. Can you just talk a little bit about that event and just what transpired? Because I saw that you got the Metro certification that you got and everything. But just can you remember what happened that day and how it's
Yeah,
impacted you?
I was just, doing my job. I was standing by. I was working in Omnia nightclub here in Vegas, and I was just working the run, like the walkway. And I saw the group of girls come, they got their table, and one of the girls was already like plastered drunk within like 10 minutes. And that's a red flag to me, because it usually doesn't take 10 minutes to get that drunk. The way she couldn't even talk. She could barely walk. So that kind of raised a red flag. And I saw some guy like trying to like walk her out, and I looked at my coworker, and he looked at them and then like flashed me. So I came over there and I separated the two. And um when I separated the two, like the girl's friend came up and was like, "Oh my God, where have you been?" Blah 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 blah. And I asked her, I'm like, do you guys like, do you know this guy? And she was like, "No, we never met him in our life, yada yada." So then I started questioning him, and I'm like, "How do you know her?" And then he lied to me, of course, like an idiot. And he was like, "Oh, I know her like a sister. I grew up with her. All this, BS." And I told him to his face, I'm like, "You're a liar. She doesn't know you." I was just being a kind of a dick, because it was like he was being a dick. So then he started
Yeah.
cussing me out, flipped me off. I said, "You know what? Stay right here." So I got my couple of my supervisors. We took him out in the back, and Metro got involved, and apparently he went to jail that night. So, yeah, I was just doing my job. It was very sketchy to see somebody come in and then get drunk that fast, and then some guys trying to now walk her out. Like that's a super big red flag. So, yeah, I think the guy just might have spiked her drink, and he went to jail that night, and I went home and practiced the next day.
No, well, that's amazing that you were there because I mean, who knows what would have happened. So,
Yeah, who
honestly,
knows, man?
kudos to you. Last one for me, and again, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Of
Did
course.
you ever watch Ali with Will Smith or no?
Oh yeah, my
What did you
mom's
think
actually
of?
in that movie for like a
Oh,
couple
really?
seconds.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
What did you think of the depiction of Will Smith?
I thought Will Smith killed it. You know, I think the original role was, I think Denzel was going to play him, but
Oh,
Denzel
wow.
said there will never be another Muhammad Ali, so he refused the role. But then Will Smith took it, and I think Will Smith killed it. Um, I think Jamie Foxx killed it too, as Boudini Brown. Like I
All
think
right.
both of them just killed it in their roles. It's a great movie. The only issue I have with it is I wish that they would have included just how big of an issue it was when he was fighting the U.S. government. It was a big deal in the movie, but it wasn't like I feel like they could have made it what it really was, and that was a huge deal. It's the heavyweight champion fighting the U.S. government, saying, "Take me to jail. I don't care about my belt." So, yeah, the only issue I have is I wish they would have showed us just how big of an impact it really was.
No, I completely agree. That is Biaggio Ali Walsh. Thank you so much. You guys can catch him on February 24th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. PFL versus Bellator champs. It's going to be a great event. He's fighting Emmanuel Palacio. Biaggio, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you guys for having me.